Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Let's get started. Okay, bring in my supplies here. Okay, I have a scrap of gold foil and a scrap of white. This is a little bit more than, it's like 5/8 of an inch wide, and it just needs to be long enough for your sentiment. I'm going to be using this die to do my sentiment. It's from the potted succulents, so it just needs to be longer than that for the white piece, and then the gold piece needs to be a little bit longer than that. Okay, I have another scrap of gold foil. I have these are all upside down, 3 by 4.5 inch piece of designer series paper. This is from the what's it called, pattern party, and this is pattern number 2. I marked it. There's just 2 different patterns from that. One side is colored, the other side is all black and white. I love the black and whites. I have a 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 inch piece of gold. I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of the Pattern Party Designer Series paper. I have a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of black. This is another scrap of the gold that I've already run through this embossing folder, the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder. And I'm going to run some other pieces through to do the pumpkin on there. And then I'm using the Forever Fern, this Hello. Let's get started here. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, I forgot a card base. I got to get a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of card base, white, thick. And I'm using Cajun Craze. I'm using the medium daisy punch. I'm using the double oval punch, and I have a 1/2 inch circle punch, but you don't really have to use that. I have it, so I'm using it. It makes it much easier. And to open this, and just slide that little grippy. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, out of this gold foil, I'm going to punch out 2 full flowers here. Okay, and then the third part, I just need the center part of that flower, so if I can find a spot where it's going to cut that entire center, like right over here, I just need that center part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. So I got this little nasty piece, and then I'm going to take this 1/2 inch circle punch, get it in there so that it's centered like that. Can you see how it's centered there? And then I'm going to punch it. And I just need that part. Okay, so that's a flower. Let's go ahead and put this together so we can get it out of the way. And actually what I did is I turned it upside down like this. And when you take your pick tool, you have these little tools too, but I'm just going to grab this one. I just drew, this one's too big. Drew little lines like that. Pushing away from me seems to work better. Just to give those leaves petals a little bit of dimension. You can use your bone folder too. Okay. These two are going to get glued on top of each other. Just staggered just a little bit. And for that, I'm going to bring in the Tombow. In the middle, stagger those petals. And this piece I'm going to put on a dimensional. I think I used a regular one, I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah. Yep, see there, it just barely fits, but if you have the small ones, use a small one. Okay, then this one's going to go right in the center. Just like that. That's our flower, so we'll put that aside. Okay, so now we're going to take what's left of this, we're going to run it through our embossing folder. And I need this piece, and I will be right back. Alright, I've got that. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this punch. And it actually works better if you have thinner strips or narrower strips, because then you can slide it in like this. We need 3 of these punched. One. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta trim this. I'm going to cut it like this. Hopefully that's not too narrow. Because if I'd left it long, I would be cutting this one out of it too, and then I wouldn't have enough to get what I needed. 2. I'll show you what I mean. See how it cuts all that extra part? I would cut out that circle too, and then you wouldn't have what you needed. Okay, so there's those. One of these I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of. And I just realized I forgot something else, so hold on a second. I forgot these leaves. And let me find the dies those come out of. Those are from Intricate Leaves dies. These 2 little leaves here. You could use this one too. That would work as well. So let me go find another scrap of that foil paper and cut out 2 of those leaves. Okay, I'm back, and so I've got those. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and stamp this and get this done. Cajun Craze. Sentiment. Stamp it right in the middle here. Perfect. I'm going to bring in this die here, put that over the top, and have the sentiment centered. You can put whatever sentiment you'd like in there. And I'm going to go ahead and run that through my die cut machine. I'm back. So now I'm going to take this piece here. I'm going to line it up with it. I'm going to take my snips, find them here. Where are they? I don't know. I have to use these. I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to mimic that corner there. Okay. So I'm going to do it here as well. Cut that off there. And it's not going to be perfect. That's what gave me my layer. Okay. Let's go ahead and glue this piece onto there. Alright, let's assemble this card. This is where I should have cut out those leaves from. That's what I was supposed to have done, and why I forgot. Excuse me. So I'm going to take my 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 inch piece of gold, and I'm going to bring in that 3 by 4 1/2 inch piece of designer series paper. I'm going to mount those two together. Okay, then I'm going to take the 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of designer series paper, and my 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of black, and I'm going to mount those two together. This one's going to get mounted onto my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. It's that thick. Excuse me. Okay. It's going to go this way. This is going to get centered on there. Deciding, should I put dimensionals behind this layer? Let's try it for this one. I didn't on my original, because I already have some things popped up, but let's go ahead and try it. Use my edging. Okay, let's take the backs off of that. I'm going to center that up on the front of this card. Okay. Where did my sentiment go? There it is. I'll put dimensionals on the back of the sentiment. Alright, let's bring in our other little pieces here. And I'm going to do my pumpkin. I'm going to do 2 flat like that, and this one's going to go on top of it. And you just decide if you want it a little bit bigger on the bottom or a little bit bigger on the top. I'll go ahead and glue these flat. One there. One there. This one will go on top of that. Okay. Now from our scrap piece, I'm going to cut a little stem. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a little piece. And that's going to get tucked in there. It's a little too long, so let's make it shorter. Go ahead and glue that. You can use glue dots for this part. Glue that in there. Okay, we're going to take our little leaves. I'm going to add just little top dips right down the center. One there. Put one here. My flower is going to go over here. Hanging off of this card here. And then this sentiment, it's tucked in right here. Okay, now I'm going to bring in, let's see, I'm going to try these. I have these brushed metallic adhesive backed dots. I'm going to use those on this one. I used the faceted gems on this one. I'm going to try these ones. So I'm going to take a medium one. There's only 2 sizes on this one, so I'll put a big one here. I'll put a big one over here. And a small one right here. There you go. There's the card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.